everyone, I'm Darcy and this is my channel, Lazy Books. Today I'm going to be doing my August wrap-up and my September TBR. I feel like this month was a pretty good reading month for me. I read about 7 books. One was a script, but I believe all of the rest of them were books. And I finished a series, which doesn't happen a lot, and I need to do more. And so yeah, let's get started. The first book I read this month was Harry Potter and the Cursed Child by J.K. Rowling, John Tiffany, and Jack Thorne. Now, there are many mixed reviews on this, but I honestly liked it. I think it added a lot to the series, even if some characters were changed. But in my opinion, it's been 19 years since we really got to know these characters. I think they would have changed a lot in that amount of time, and I think even though Harry was a little bit crueler than I thought he would be, I think it is still true to their characters in some ways. There were definitely some parts I didn't like. There was a lot of plot holes that were kind of annoying, and there were parts where I just thought the characters were dumbed down a lot. I think seeing this in person would definitely make this like 10 times better, and it would definitely explain some things and show emotions a lot better, because this was just a script, but I enjoyed it for what it was. The next thing I read this month was City of Lost Souls by Cassandra Clare. I loved this so much. I just finished off the Mortal Instruments series and it was perfect. I love the characters and I can't wait for the new series to come out. There's a couple coming up soon. I believe there was a Magnus Bane trilogy that was just announced, and I'm just really excited to get to know these characters a bit more. Now, like I just said, I completely finished the Mortal Instruments series this month, so the next book I read was City of Heavenly Fire by Cassandra Clare. I'm loaning it to a friend right now, so I don't have it. That's why this is happening. I loved City of Heavenly Fire a lot. It's between either that or City of Glass that are my favorites. It was just such a good ending to it, and we finally got to see some Clace action in this, which was very nice. And I just really enjoyed it altogether. The next thing I read this month was The Bane Chronicles by Cassandra Clare, Sarah Brennan, and Maureen Johnson. I love this a lot. Magnus Bane is my favorite character in the Mortal Instruments and Infernal Devices, so just being able to see more about his past and how he met some of the main characters in some of the other series was just so cool. I read this just before Lady Midnight, so being able to see more about him before we got his little happy ending in that was so nice. I really enjoyed being able to read some of the stories that he kind of mentioned in the other series, like what happened in Peru and how he met Camille, and it was just a really nice touch to the other series. The next book I read this month was Lady Midnight by Cassandra Clare. Like I just said, I really enjoyed seeing Magnus in this, but even more than that, I liked seeing some of the characters that weren't really touched upon a lot in City of Heavenly Fire, like Emma and the Blackthorns, especially Julian, and just getting to know those characters and finding out some more about the Herondales and about their past was so amazing. I loved the ending, and the little part that was like thrown in at the end about Clary and Jace and all of them was so nice, and I can't wait for the rest of the series. The next thing I read this month was Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. I read this with the Ostentatious Book Club that was started by Read by Zoe, and I really enjoyed it. I had always really liked the movie, and being able to read it was just so perfect. I think the courting systems back then were just so interesting, even though they were very warped in a lot of ways compared to our society. I just think it was so cool being able to read it, and I'm really excited to start reading more classics. The next book I read this month was Uglies by Scott Westerfield. I have read this book before in the entire series, but I haven't read it since like 6th grade, so I was wanting to reread it and get to know some of these characters again because I like completely forgot about what happened, and it was so nice. I still had that shock factor because I completely forgot everything. And it was so cool being able to see this world again because I'd always really loved it and thought it was super interesting. And I hope to finish the rest of the series again soon. Now, those were all the books I read in August, but I have a lot of books I want to read in September as well. The first thing I want to read in September is Prejudice by Scott Westerfield. Like I just said, I just finished Uglies and I'm already on page about 120 in Prejudice right now, and I am loving it so much. I miss these characters and I miss the world, and being able to like read the story all over again is super nice, and I'm really excited to finish this. Along with those last two, I plan on reading Specials and Extras in the month of September. I don't really remember anything from these two at all. I remembered the basic characters and plot of the last two, so this should be really interesting and like reading it new all over again. So I'm really excited for that. The next thing I plan on reading in the month of September is The Crucible by Arthur Miller. I genuinely am liking this, which is good for me because I don't usually like the books that we read in class. We're already on like Act 1, I want to say, and we're watching the movie along with reading it in class, so it's really nice to be able to read it and then visualize what's actually happening. So I'm really enjoying this right now. In light of the Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children movie coming out later this month, I plan on finishing the series. I've already read Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, so next I will be reading Hollow City and then Library of Souls. I don't really know anything that happens later in the series, so I'm really excited about that, trying to avoid spoilers. The last book was left on a really big cliffhanger, so I'm excited to see what happens next and what happens with all the characters and Miss Peregrine, and just super pumped to finish this. Since I just finished Pride and Prejudice, I plan on reading Persuasion by Jane Austen this month. I don't really know a lot about it, but since I liked Pride and Prejudice so much, I'm really excited to be reading more classics. I hope I enjoy this one as much as the last. I know nothing about it. I went into Pride and Prejudice knowing a bit about it because of the movie. It's different in some ways, but it sticks to the basic plot, so I will be very interested to learn a whole new story by this author that I'm starting to really enjoy. Earlier this year, I read Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard, and I haven't gotten to Glass Sword yet, so I plan on reading that this month. I'm really excited. I honestly enjoyed the last one, and I have no clue what happens in this, and I know the next one comes out later next year, so I definitely want to squeeze this in before that. I'm really pumped to be able to read this. Along with Glass Sword, I just want to squeeze in a little novella there, so I'll be reading Cruel Crown by Victoria Aveyard. I'm really excited to be reading this because it shows some points of view from Queen Corianne, which we don't really hear a lot about in Red Queen. I've heard this isn't really necessary to read the story, but I'm just super interested in her point of view and more stuff like that. Now, that was it for my September TBR. I'm really excited to be reading all those. I might not get to all of them this month since it is a very extensive list. So those are just some I plan to get to in this month and maybe even into next month, but I'll let you guys know how I like them. If you guys enjoyed this, please like and subscribe. That would be very much appreciated. And if you have anything you want to see in the future, just comment below. Okay, see you next time.